Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. Have you ever wondered why some countries feel like they are all about business and making money, while others seem to prioritize everyone having enough? Or why some government control almost everything and others let private companies run wild? Well, today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of economic system. We are going to break down the big ideas like capitalism, socialism, communism, and the mixed economy. What they are, who the big thinkers behind them were, and even why my country Malaysia has a unique economic path and strict ban on communism. By the end of the video, you will have a much clearer picture of how the world's money and resources are managed. So let's get started. First up, let's talk about capitalism. You hear this word all the time, especially in places like the USA. Think of capitalism as the freedom and profit system. At its core, it's about private ownership. That means individual and private companies own most business, factories, and even property. The idea is that everyone is free to compete in the market, buying and selling goods and services, and the main goal is to make a profit. The more innovative or efficient you are, the more successful you can be. So, who's genuine behind this idea? The most famous figure, often called the father of capitalism, is Adam Smith. Back in 1776, the same year America declared its independence, Smith wrote a groundbreaking book called The Wealth of Nations. Smith argued that when individuals pursue their own self-interest in a free market, it's like an invisible hand guide the economy to benefit society as a whole. Businesses will naturally produce what people want at prices they are willing to pay, leading to prosperity for everyone. Today, countries like the USA, Singapore, and Japan are often seen as prime example of capitalist economies with strong private sectors and competitive markets. Now, let's pivot to a system that often gets compared or even confused with capitalism, which is socialism. If capitalism is about freedom and profit, then socialism is more about equality and welfare. Here, the government plays a much bigger role, especially in the key industries like healthcare, education, and transportation. The idea isn't to own everything, but to ensure that essential services and resources are distributed more equally among the population. The goal is to reduce poverty and provide a safety net for everyone. So, who were the early thinkers of socialism? While there are many branches of socialist thought, the foundational figures are Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. In the mid 1800s, they looked at the Industrial Revolution and saw huge inequalities under capitalism. In their famous work, The Communist Manifesto 1848, they laid out a powerful critique of capitalism and proposed a social where workers, not just the factory owners who benefit, they saw socialism as a necessary step to overcome these inequalities. Now, it's important to know that socialism isn't just one thing that most people think of today, especially in countries like Sweden, Norway, and Finland, is democratic socialism. Here you still have private businesses and free elections, but the government uses high taxes to fund extensive social services like universal healthcare, free education, and generous unemployment benefits. Leaders like Bernie Sanders in the US and historical figures like Olof Palme from Sweden championed this approach. This brings us communism, which is often confused with socialism but has crucial differences definitely. Think of communism as aiming for total equality, 100%, at least in theory. In a truly communist society, the state would own everything, all property, all businesses, all land. There would be no private ownership, no social classes, and ultimately no government needed because everyone would work for the common good. It's a radical vision of stateless, moneyless, classless society. Again, Karl Marx is the towering figure behind communist theory. He, along with Friedrich Engels, believed that capitalism would eventually collapse, leading to a workers' revolution. This revolution would establish socialism as a transition, eventually leading to pure communism. However, the real world application of communism, led by figures like Vladimir Lenin in Russia, who founded the Soviet Union, and Mao Zedong in China, often diverged significantly from Marx's theoretical vision. These leaders adapted Marxism to their own country's context, leading to highly centralized authoritarian states where the government controlled all aspects of life and the economy. Today, Countries like North Korea and Cuba are often cited as existing communist states, though they have unique characteristics. The former Soviet Union was also a prominent example of communist state for much of the 20th century. Now, after looking at those distinct systems, you might be thinking, do any countries really fit perfectly into this just one box? The answer for most of the world is definitely a no. This leads us to the mixed economy, often called the best of both world system. As the name suggests, it's a blend of capitalism and socialism. You have a strong private sector where businesses operate freely and compete, but the government also plays a significant role through regulation, providing social services, and even owning some key industries. Best, isn't it? Not really unlike the others, the mixed economy isn't linked to a single founder. It developed more as a practical approach throughout the 20th century as government learned from the strengths and weaknesses of pure capitalism and pure socialism. However, a hugely influential economist whose ideas underpin much of the mixed economy is John Maynard Keynes. Especially after the Great Depression in the 1930s, Keynes argued that governments needed to intervene in the economy. For example, by spending money on infrastructure during recession to prevent crises and ensure stability. His ideas helped shape many modern mixed economies. Today, the vast majority of countries, including the UK, Germany, India, even my home country Malaysia, operate under a mixed economic system. It's about finding the balance between private innovation and public welfare. Alright, let's bring it home and talk about Malaysia's home economic system and a very important question. Why is communism banned here? As I just mentioned, Malaysia operates as a mixed economy. We have a vibrant private sector driving growth and innovation, but the government also actively intervenes to promote specific goals and ensure social welfare. For instance, policies like the new economic policy, which was in effect for many years, were designed to reduce economic disparities and promote a more equitable distribution of wealth among Malaysia's diverse ethnic group. The government also invests heavily in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. It's a blend aimed at aiming both economic progress and social harmony. This is rooted deeply in Malaysia's history between 1948 and 1960. Malaysia, then known as Malaya, endured what's known as the Malayan Emergency. This was brutal and violent communist insurgency led by the Malayan Communist Party. They led to overthrow the British colonial government and later the independent Malaysian government. This was a time of immense conflict, loss of life and disruption. The communist insurgency truly threatened the peace and stability of the nation. Because of this painful experience and the very real threat it posed to national unity and security, the Malayan government took strong measures. Laws like the Societies Act of 1966 and other related legislation were put in place to specifically ban communist activities and organizations. This isn't just a historical footnote, it's a fundamental aspect of Malaysia's legal and political landscape designed to prevent a recurrence of such a violent and divisive period. It's about protecting the nation's peace, unity, and multi ethnic harmony that was so hard won. And there you have it, a hopefully much clearer picture of the major economic system that shape our world, from the free market push of capitalism to the welfare focus of socialism and the unique path Malaysia has forged. Each system has its own philosophy and history. Understanding these concepts help us make sense of global politics, current events, and even why certain countries operate the way they do. If you found this explanation helpful, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel for more insight, and let me know in the comment below. What do you think about Malaysia's economic system? And or which economic system do you find most interesting? Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.